Hello and welcome to Your Heart's Path. My name is Faye and I'm here today to bring through some psychic and intuitive messages for the month of July. If this does find you at another time, the messages may resonate. As this is a collective reading, I'll try to use metaphors and symbols, pictures and images that you can use your own intuition to almost step inside of and explore. I anticipate that some of these transmissions can ignite your own epiphanies, can stir your own intuitive knowing. So I hope that wherever this finds you, that you can switch on your discernment and lean into the things that bring aliveness and excitement and offer a truth within your being, and just let go of the bits that don't. Right away I can start and I can hear this rooster in the background. So I feel for you beautiful empaths that there's you might be waking up nice and early in the morning. For some of you, I'm going to encourage you to try seeing what it's like to get up at that point in time. Maybe it's like 4 o'clock, maybe it's 5 o'clock, maybe it's 6 o'clock. I do kind of have this like feeling like there's a point there where you might be feeling like in your everyday life, like regardless, you're having a bit of a crash of energy in the afternoon. And there's like opportunity to go into practice when the world feels really quiet around you. I almost feel like this is something around like expression. This could be through movement. This could just be your everyday practice where you actually go into that space and make the most of it. You might even find you have more energy through the day if you can just try getting up. For those of you who are struggling to get to sleep, I feel like this has been a pattern that I have been seeing just in client sessions to try moving your bed into a different position. When we've had a lot of energy coming in through these big processes of purging that we've all been going through, it can be beautiful to just shift the position of your bed. This is something I've done recently, and I've just found that I'm just going off to sleep much more easily. Dreams are certainly igniting. We're doing a lot of work at nighttime at the moment. So if your dreams seem kind of strange, or you're even looking at stuff going, oh, I thought I'd finished that pattern, or I thought my weakness with that person had shifted, it's okay. I just want you to be an observation of some of that. If you do have some clearing tools, to move some of the residue, that energy in the morning, it can be really helpful. But what I do see is that this space is offering a different perspective, but from more of a distance. I love this kind of more of a distance thing. I sort of feel like we have access to the observer this month in a way that situations you might have felt like really in the center of, sort of even being spun around, or even just in the quiet, almost morbid stillness of it all, of their chaos. It's sort of like we're on the outside of things now, looking over and able to see things from a different perspective. This shows up mostly in spaces where there's almost like a stream here with intimate relationships, male and female relationships more specifically, or the masculine and the feminine, if you want to put it that way. I do sort of see that the men have had a big kind of squeeze, there's been like a pressure system. You can almost hear the conversation of the women like, wake up, wake up, wake up, come on, let's do the work. And there's been almost like a little bit of impatience. So instead of bringing lightness to that space, we've actually brought resistance. And what I see is some of that is kind of trickling away. I sense that what some of you are noticing is that if you can give them some space and some time and the confidence to be able to figure this out in the way that they need to, there can be great evolution here within the relationship. Now, I do think that these are things around, showing up and meeting each other halfway. These are communication pieces. Sometimes it's just they need a little bit more time in order to digest, and you might be someone that wants to kind of figure things out really quick. So I do kind of feel like give them the grace. You know what it's like to, and perhaps this is not intimate relationships, perhaps this is a friendship or a family member too. I want you to recall in this moment what it's like for you when you're going through, or you've been through your dark night of the soul, or you're going through a huge challenge, and having someone there that's like, come on, speed up, get on with it. I want you to do things differently or my way. It never works like that. And all we do then is kind of just bring stress. So creating spaciousness is where I feel the nourishment really coming through. And then they're accessing their own mastery, their own inner power. And it's the thing that they actually need in order to bring it to the relationship. It's their part to play. So give them the confidence to get this right. and give them the confidence to get this right. There's also something I kind of feel with life. Can we give life the opportunity to get things right this time around? I almost feel like there's been an emphasis on complaining. I sort of feel like the negative chitter chatter has been super loud. And again, some of you have been able to sit back from that and go, oh, whoa, it's old. I thought that was something I was done with, but it surfaced again. And this is kind of like the finale or like the passing by. So I like the distance from some of this and almost the pauses that come in between, where I sense there's this space for reflection. If you're not allowing spaces for meditation, for reflection, you're going to feel this as fatigue inside of your body right now. You'll feel it at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You'll get the sugar craving. You'll want the other coffee. You'll be looking for ways to kind of pick your body up that's not necessarily naturally. So for some of you, you might actually be going through a bit of a process of eliminating things that you have been depending on in order to get that extra boost of energy. And perhaps this is about changing over sleep, reassessing the company you keep. Perhaps it's almost like we expend a bit more energy in order to gain more right now. So sometimes like the endorphins you get from doing exercise give you all this energy to get through your whole day. Even if you do feel a little tired prior, it wouldn't be the time where I'll be saying, okay, we'll just like sit and wait. I kind of feel like you'd be better off, even if it's not heavy weights or a huge cardio session, you'd be better off to walk around the block than do nothing at all. And I feel like if you are having that huge big crash, you're supposed to, and what will happen very quickly in that space is you're going to lay down, you're going to ask your body and be, what do you need right now? And it might say, please stop eating this type of food, or please stop the addiction to this thought pattern, or can we have a look at the time in which you're going to bed or what you're doing before you go to bed, please? And I think this is really important. These are kind of like routine shifts and changes, right? I've kind of looked at this from a very sort of 3D perspective. There has been huge amounts of shifts when it comes to empaths and sensitives, and so there's lots of mystical experiences happening amongst all of this. I kind of sense that there's been this transition and this shift between like the attachment to needing to see things really logically. So what I'm sensing is this is a really beautiful time for artistry, for poetry, for almost like a different language to begin to come through. I'm interested in how you communicate beyond words. I'm interested how you communicate with what's not logical. And I have this sort of sensation or this experience of really wanting to listen. And I feel like we've had that period, like there's been this point of, that position we've been in. And now I feel like we're going into this space where it's like, oh, how do I now talk back? So maybe it's almost like the other side of the conversation needs to come through. Same thing within the partnership, right? Almost like the symbols that start to come through with the information that's there. You can see how there's all these like different perspectives that how it all moves into the one thing. But I almost feel like there's another side to the conversation. So if you've been talking, action, expression, perhaps it's listen. I'm quiet. There's kind of this feeling around the dialogue. Which one of you being in? What's the shift now? So for those of you who have been having mystical experiences, perhaps you've been hearing spirit, or you've been in a space of prayer where you've been talking to the Creator or to God, or perhaps there's this space, did you wait to hear back? Or did you speak? Did you have a conversation with the vision that presented itself to you? Did you inquire? I kind of feel like we're stepping into a new paradigm, but there's a lightness with this, and the lightness has come through this big contraction that we've been experiencing, and the contraction is there to kind of squeeze things. And for some of you, that's been really nice. It's like when you've had like a shoulder pain and someone gives it like a good squeeze. It's like, ooh, that was sore, but it really needed to happen. That's almost like the contraction that's been coming. And I feel like some of you have actually waited a really long time for that as well, because it's squeezed out some of the bits that are just like have become really boring. So it's a really beautiful time to recommit inside of relationships. This for some of you might be like renewing your vows. For others, it might be committing to a different way of doing things within your workspace. It's tax time here in Australia, so making a commitment to get more organized. I'm certainly doing that because I've made a big, I'm behind in some of that stuff that takes up room within my awareness, that distracts me from doing the thing that I've come here to do. So there's just little things like this that we can tidy up. What's your commitment to life right now? I think that's a really beautiful point of reflection. You can see this within your actions, what you're committed to, what you're devoted to. You'll see this whether you're in your practice, whether you're listening for a response, whether you're taking care of yourself. And it's kind of like just like a point of I almost sense the pivot has happened. We've spoken about pivot before, and now this is about seeing where you're going, even if there isn't necessarily a vision there, but you're casting an intent. And we really need this kind of feeling right now. If you are feeling lost, please come and see me and get a reading, or go see somebody else. It's really important that we have some form of direction right now. So if you feel lost, there's an invitation there to realize I need some form of direction. Sometimes that's just pivoting back toward the heart, right? Like, it doesn't have to be a destination outside of you. There can be a place inside of you that is, open for some connection. I have this big sort of feeling around authenticity at the moment too. Lots of conversation around self-love. Someone who I work with, who takes care of me, beautiful Amma, she said to me, this situation requires unconditional love. She said this to me about a month ago when I had a clearing with her. And I hear this on repeat at the moment. This situation requires unconditional love. Can you feel how the whole world just like softens when we take this perception, and how we don't take things so personally or so seriously? It just allows for us to kind of navigate from this place of love. And we notice in the affirmation of that all the places where we've grown tense, or where we've closed off or shut off to that beautiful stream of love, which is mysticism, right? The power of love, and where we direct it, and where it's not, and where we grow it, and where we we make space for it. That's part kind of the direction and where we're all going as a whole. Well, that's the intention for me anyway. And those of you focused on a spiritual path and part of your awakening, in that it leads to more wholeness. Wholeness was one of the themes I wanted to address today. Wholeness symbolically, perhaps there's like, they're showing me just like, perhaps there's like a renovation to the house that's to come. Perhaps it's like the plants to the soil you've been germinating. Perhaps this is a feeling of wholeness within yourself, balancing the mind, the body, and the soul. There's kind of the sense of wholeness and integration that's sort of taking place. So I kind of feel that it comes through as a bit of like a sigh of relief. I feel like this is the whole process too. I almost feel like it comes right down to little pieces. Like if you've been, I don't know, buying like packet pasta sauce or something, it's the kind of time where you'd be encouraged to like buy the tomatoes and make your own sauce again, just for the joy of experiencing something that feels more delicious and nourishing, and that you were sort of a part of. It feels like staying for it feels like staying. It kind of feels like the circle gets to complete itself here. So bringing the whole of you to situations, I also feel like this is the part of authenticity, to be yourself. But there's also all this beautiful space with like a lightness when it comes to forgiveness. There's a lightness and an understanding from that perspective that people make mistakes and we're all human and we're just trying to do the best that we possibly can. It's kind of like these, laws that are sort of thrown around, especially the more sort of karmic ones when it comes to like forgiveness, and what we put out there is what comes back. We're feeling this on a deep level, and this is where these mystical experiences seem to be happening. The language of symbology for you might be getting louder, and so if there are points in your awareness where you feel there are sort of gaps, or you need knowledge, or you need resources, it's a really beautiful time to start kind of directing as to where that's going to come through for you. Honestly, that can happen with something as simple as like buying a new oracle deck or something and just feeling a different line of inspiration, a different essence that is allowed to come through. But this wholeness piece feels really beautiful. This is like a whole breath. It's whole foods. It's I always feel like the whole, like completion. I almost feel this sense of like completing projects, completing writings, completing relationship cycles. a complete of like karma. I almost sense that we're arriving at this space where there has been some of these collective themes and conversations around duality. It's like layers of that have been squeezed up to the surface, and there's a wholeness there. We get to do things a little differently. I actually sort of sense that this is a really beautiful time too. You'll see the vulnerability within people. Notice where you're judging. Notice what you look for when you're in conversation and connection with people. Notice where you are. Where are you spending your time? I feel like this is really important right now, especially for some of you that have been in great resistance to making big changes to the bigger points in your life, whether that's like a career shift or, you know, moving states, or choosing not to give all of your energy and attention to manifesting a romantic relationship because there's a health piece or a soul piece that wants your attention. It's kind of like, what's actually in alignment for me right now? What is authentic for me right now? What is showing up from the inside right now? And where do I need to place my attention and my energy? And how can I do that as kindness, you know, with as much kindness as possible? So look for spaces where things feel really whole. And if there is I almost feel like the last process comes, it's like the baking of the bread, or maybe it's even like the buttering of the bread. It almost feels like we're kind of arriving at that space. So if you're waiting for like the big finale of your ending, you might be in that sort of gestation period before the budding, and that's not a space to force either. It's just a lovely place to bring about that sense of presence. Like, I am here and I'm expecting things to work out for me. I'm expecting things to be different now based on what I've been learning. So new karmic cycles beginning. You'll be able to see people that are wearing masks right now, and again, it's not a judgment thing. We got to understand that these things surface. We've all had them, we all hold them periodically, we come up against them, and the masks get these opportunities when you can be in your authenticity and you bring that into your connections. You give permission almost for somebody else to do the same thing. So I love this for one-on-one client work right now. I love this for one-on-one conversations. I love the transformation and change that's happening within the sacral too. I almost feel like there's been some imbalances there, almost like some teachings on a collective around desire, and emphasis on almost like non-attachment to materialism. And not that those things aren't beautiful and nourishing and nice, but it's almost just not a need for that. The emphasis of like simplicity bringing deep joy is certainly there at the moment. And things like music, you know, stuff that just nourishes and soothes the soul. I can see a lot of you enjoying your own company a bit more at the moment too. And perhaps that is just in the listening or taking that final step and finishing off, you know, a project, or singing for the sakes of singing, for making sound and being in rhythm and enjoying some of life. I've written a note here that I don't understand now, because I made these notes yesterday or the day before, and then I went into like a little fear response actually, which was something that I moved, and then I've heard another couple of people respond back. There was a feeling of like stuckness around expression, or feeling like I couldn't speak. So I wonder if that's in the transmission of the music too. It can feel here like there is an opportunity to access more wisdom. I'm looking at this wondering if that's more of a personal message, but I kind of feel like on a whole, there's been so much energy around the throat chakra, this like nervousness around truth and what's true and what's not true. And I kind of feel like there's a calmness that's coming to that space, which gives way for our cognizance, a deep knowing, but also for the feeling body to come through, because we're not trying to just figure this out all of the time. Judgment on the response to experience. I'm not really sure what I meant by that. But I just kind of feel like judgment is always a beautiful invitation to apply mirror theory. What's this person showing me, or what am I judging in them that I'm judging within myself? But also to know that that can flip. You can be on the other side of that experience as well. So if somebody is judging you, or you're feeling that criticism, to know that that might not be personal at all. And sometimes that's about you building your resilience and letting those things just kind of wash away, and seeing it from that high perspective that's actually got nothing to do with you, and that you're of service to that person in some way, because you're helping them see the truth. We kind of touched on that and that and that. I wrote down some points around grief here. I feel like we had some really big grief points that were pushed earlier on in the year. The transformation of grief is something that I'm super fascinated in, because I also feel like it has this ability to activate purpose work, service and contribution to humanity, because it's something that surfaces as a byproduct of love. Like, it's almost like it's part of the condition of love. I don't know, there are conditions, but of course there are conditions, unconditional even. But I almost feel like grief can be looked upon as something that anchors you very deeply into the depths of your heart, and it can carve these huge big spaces out for the light to come in. So I kind of wonder here around the grief point whether there's even just room for contemplation to begin to bring in new connections, where there's almost a bit more space. I feel like you can hold a little bit more. I know that grief is something that can be, it takes a lot of time, but it's also something that I want you to sort of acknowledge that does need these kind of, I almost feel like there is transformation in that. And it has the opportunity for some of you to point this like purpose piece and be like, wow, I can see that I didn't realize how much of a connection I had to animals. Wow, I didn't realize how much of a connection I had to the people in the hospice center. And it wasn't just about the, my grandma or my nan. It was actually like all of the staff and that environment, and where I, got to have those lovely conversations. Perhaps that's the destination in which I'm going. Because I do sense some of you have been really willing and waiting for a big change within something like a career. It's, the things that you're spending your time doing kind of Monday to Friday, but you haven't had that like wrecking ball moment. It's almost been like a feeling that's been like slowly coming to the surface, and it can grow heavier if we've been holding it for a really long time. So the answer to this question right now would be divine inspiration. That's where I'd be going, unless it's come directly from your environment, or this has been revealed to you through these moments of grief where the heart gets cracked wide open and you can see that this is where I feel the sense of wholeness. There's kind of this sit in meditation, ask the question, is there a download here for me of pure love and light that can come into the space that I've created within? Send me the bravery, the courage that it takes to make the leap, or show me what it is, start to align me with that path that can reveal to me, what it is that I'm here to do. And I think this purpose work, there's some conversation around this. And purpose work is not just, purpose work is in service to your soul contracts, right? It's not just about work and jobs. So I feel like mothers as well, there's room for conversation or reflection around that, meaning that it is a huge purpose and you are of service. For some of you, I feel like you needed to hear that. Look at your little bubbers and who they're going to grow into and who they're becoming in this beautiful earth. They need people like you that are awakened or awakening, that give them the opportunity to, stay true to who they are. And I feel like with that, there's almost this opportunity here for conception for some of you. Pregnancies coming in on this, can see it's not here right this moment, but I almost see from a distance like a stream or there's almost like a wave of bubbers coming in. So we might not see the results of that for like another 3 months. If you're expecting a daughter or, your son and their partner, or whatever it is, to, if there's been conversations around babies and things, I kind of sense that, some of you might be becoming grandparents soon. So that's a really beautiful thing. All right. Other than that, there were some informations around upgrades when it comes to like structures, foundations, systems. I almost feel I want to almost look at that like some of these are crumbling. I also feel like we've been looking for systems and structure within AI, within online spaces, and we're kind of in this place where perhaps you've been looking at like, oh, maybe it's not working for me to share my business and my stuff on Instagram. I need a whole new platform. And I wonder if I was talking to my partner about this, wonder if there's just new ways of using the platforms in which we are so that we can upgrade these systems. I kind of feel like expanding this further and further and further with more resources, more ways, it becomes overwhelming really quickly. So I kind of feel like back yourself in the decision as where you, if you are this more sort of from a sharing space. I know a lot of you that are here are running your own businesses. And I understand the challenges that come with someone that it requires a lot of trust, but there is a sense of wholeness here. If we can have a look at just, okay, well, I'm already here, I've put in a lot of work already. What could I change within what it is that I've already got that I could shift, where it just kind of refreshes things? Almost sense that there's been like a waiting for something really different to come through here, but authenticity is your key. Just bring your full heart, your full self, and see if you can have a look at new ways of innovation with this. And I think that can come through very intuitively, and let it just kind of blossom and bloom. For some of you, this is conversations, collaborations. It almost feels like something that's been sitting there on the sideline for a while that for some reason just hasn't happened. It's kind of a time where I feel like go for it, and not just for you, do it for the contribution to humanity. I think there's a big emphasis on service work here, and that being like a beautiful fuel and a beautiful intent that backs you to show up and do your thing, you know. Just going to close down my eyes and have a little look here to see if there's anything else that I'd like to share with you. I'm just watching this beautiful lotus flower in the water. I can see it opening. I almost feel like there is an opening. I kind of feel like with this, there's like this representation of an emphasis of this like awakening. I really do feel like we're going through a big wave of that right now. And so you're needed if you're in this service work, but it's also really important that you have a look at your own experiences and to know that stuff comes up in order to be moved. I really love water, the element of water. I can see like mermaids and dolphins and whales and water as a form of medicine, reflection, intuitive insights, whether you go to the water, whether you visualize it within. These beautiful lilies are everywhere. I also feel like it's coming in with like cosmic support. I can see, like, I know it sounds very mystical and magical. I can see these like mermaids like blowing on the beautiful like lotus flower, and then like slowly and gently like opening, and there's like pearls in the middle of them. And I almost feel like there's this real lovely cosmic universal sort of influence right now, where I know things have been hard and they've been dark in some areas of the planet, but with that there is great light to come in. I almost feel like saying like your prayers are being heard, and we can bring peace to some of these situations right now by acknowledging the own conflict and duality within ourselves. There is a huge contribution to the earth as you do your work, even if it feels silent, or so come in with that compassion and that gentleness and that grace that you deserve. And with that, I'm going to close it off here. The House of Mystics is still open for enrollment. We start in October. This is the homeschool for the intuitively sensitive, for empaths like you. It goes over 4 months. We have a 2-week break over Christmas, and whilst the focus here is on psychic development, so as that you can strengthen your communication with the non-physical dimensions, it's also great support on your spiritual path. A space for you to come and be a part of a beautiful community where you will learn the practices, the methods, new structures, new foundations for your own wisdom to bloom from. So it's a space where you can build a beautiful relationship with your higher self. If it's in your contracts to get to know your guides as well, we go through processes of invocation, understanding the nature of contracts, mysticism, working with the power of love and being able to translate the language of energy, and knowing that happens on lots of different levels, but holds us accountable to our beautiful path and can bring through a lot of clarity, and will set you up to continue to grow and bloom out the other side. So that's there. The enrollment's there on my website. You can navigate your way through to that if that's something that calls you. Otherwise, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a message. Let me know if this resonated with you. And yeah, I look forward to catching up with you soon. June, July, it'll be August next time. I'll see you then.